Ladies and gentlemen, Beyond Light is dropping tomorrow, and I can't wait to get my hands on all the changes being made to the game. I'm excited to start exploring new destinations, try out the new stasis subclasses, and dig into how weapon tuning is going to affect the PvP landscape. But alongside of these things, we're also going to be seeing a power level increase, which means that all those rare drops that you've been auto-deleting for the last few months can actually have some significance as you climb the power ladder. But from a PvP standpoint, are any of those guns actually worth using? Now for our base PvP activities, meaning anything outside of Trials or Iron Banner, your power level doesn't matter. So if you're a veteran player and have a whole suite of legendary and exotic options, that'll all be totally viable regardless of the number that's sitting next to it. But maybe you're a new player and just dipping your feet into the waters of Destiny for the first time. Or perhaps you are a veteran player who gets a rare drop that doesn't look too bad. And you may be asking yourself, how much are you actually being handicapped by taking a rare gun in the PvP rather than a legendary? Or are some of these rare drops actual legitimate contenders in the Crucible? Right now, there's a good handful of these weapons to choose from in every weapon category. But to try to best showcase their potential, the gun I'm going to be focusing on in this video is the Refrain 23, and we'll take a look at how it stacks up. And if at any point during this video you find it useful, helpful, or enjoyable, leaving it a like really goes a long way in helping this channel's pursuit of world domination. But even better than that, subscribing and turning on notifications ensure that you won't miss an upload on the Ironworker Gaming channel as we dive into Beyond Light. Plus, you'll be joining a really awesome community full of great people. But with that out of the way, let's get into the review. Alright, this is the Refrain 23. It's a rare void adaptive auto rifle shooting at 600 rounds per minute with 47 rounds in the magazine. And right off the bat, you probably notice something is missing when compared to its legendary counterparts. Let's take a look at Gnawing Hunger real quick. It has 2 barrel options, 2 magazine options, and 2 additional perks. Legendary weapons can be infused to increase their power level, they can be masterworked to improve a stat category, and they can equip a weapon mod. And back to the Refrain 23, we have a choice between 2 sights, we have 1 magazine option, and 1 general perk. And with this, what you see is what you get. Rare guns do not have random rolls. Also, rare guns cannot be infused, cannot be masterworked, and won't accept weapon mods. To get a feel for where this gun is sitting stat-wise, let's compare it to Gnawing Hunger and the Summoner. And as you can see, the legendary adaptive autos best the Refrain in many categories. Some by just a little bit, like range and stability, and some are by a good amount, like handling or reload speed. But the Refrain does have strong marks in recoil and is competitive in the aim assist department. But for the perks on this weapon, we do have 2 sight options that are pretty nice. The SLO-12 is a nice close range sight, while the SPO-57 adds some good range and zoom magnification to this gun, allowing it to perform a little better from further out. For our magazine option, we do have ricochet rounds, which is one of the better perks you can ask for here. And our solitary performance perk is Rampage, giving us a 10% damage boost on consecutive enemies killed that can stack up to 3 times. And for the damage numbers, Refrain is hitting for 26 points of damage on a crit and 16 points of damage to the body. Do keep in mind though that once Beyond Light goes live, these numbers will be a touch lower. But we're going to run through them just for comparison's sake. With those damage values, the current optimal time to kill is 0.7 seconds by landing 7 crits in 1 body shot, and the body shot time to kill comes in at 1.2 seconds, with 13 shots landed. If we swap over to our Gnawing Hunger, we see the exact same damage values. So the rarity of a weapon does not factor in one bit when it comes to a weapon's damage output. For the physical range, with the SLO-12 sight, the Refrain will hit for full damage from 23 meters in. And when equipping the SPO-57 sight, damage falloff will begin at 34 meters. The Gnawing Hunger that we took a look at earlier is hitting for full damage from up to 26 meters away. So the fact that Refrain has sight options rather than barrel options like Gnawing Hunger allows it to hit harder from a little further out. But if we don't factor that in, we're probably not looking at too much of a discrepancy here. But let's get into the weapon's performance. Alright, performance-wise, let me start off by saying I really had no issue using Refrain in PvP. I mean, it's a 600 RPM auto rifle. The archetype right now is meta, and it just outpaces many other weapon classes in the Crucible. Adaptive auto rifles have very strong time to kill values, and the ease of use is through the roof. So since this is a competitive archetype, Refrain had very little problem holding its own. Also, ricochet rounds on an auto rifle is always a nice addition, and having selectable scopes rather than barrel options is always appreciated. For the Rampage perk, while it's probably more useful in PvE, sometimes it can come in handy dealing with multiple enemy guardians. And regardless of which weapon class you're looking at, there's probably a weapon in there that can perform just fine for most standard PvP game modes. But that being said, I feel like the reason I love the PvP side of Destiny 2 lies in how the small nuances of each weapon can affect its performance. In PvE, the main thing you're looking for is pure damage output, in what are more or less static activities. In PvP, the action is often fast-paced and unpredictable, and no Crucible match plays out exactly the same as the last. And when it comes to selecting a weapon for the Crucible, there's just so much more to factor into your decision. I mean, I've never been playing through a strike and thought to myself, man, if this fusion rifle just had a stability masterwork, that Acolyte would have been dead. Or, this pulse rifle really needs a counterbalance mod to straighten out that recoil. Or, wow, I love this SMG, but I really wish it had dynamic sway reduction on it. In the Crucible, those thoughts cross my mind all the time, because they matter. Especially when you start looking at the comp game modes or trials, where winning or losing often holds more weight since there's something on the line. I mean, in quick play game modes, this refrain performs just fine. But when I'm playing for keeps, I want to take every advantage I can have. And unless I had no other option, why would I equip a weapon with a single perk if I have the ability to throw on a weapon that carries 2? And in the same vein, why would I use a weapon that can't accept a weapon mod to boost its performance in a certain aspect, even if it's just something simple like a targeting adjuster? And it can be really nice to have the option to push up a stat category on a weapon through masterworking it. And then the stats in general on these rare weapons tend to be a shade lower than their legendary counterparts. And the higher you climb on the comp ladder, or if you're stepping into trials, these small dips in the stat categories can come into play. Sometimes if a weapon was just a little bit more stable, you could have landed that last shot and won the gunfight. Or if a weapon just had a little bit more physical range, you could have outdamaged your opponent and won the gunfight. Or if a weapon's handling was a little better, you could have gotten your other weapon out quicker than your opponent and won the gunfight. So I mean, it matters. Small things matter in PvP. And I really think this is what draws me into this side of the game. Paying attention to a weapon's fine details can boost your performance. And with so many ways to tune and adjust and spec out certain aspects on legendary guns, they just have the ability to outperform rare weapons in so many different scenarios. So for the verdict, and are rare weapons just all in all inherently bad? No. There's definitely some that can perform well in the Crucible, and Refrain 23 is just one of them. But if you do have legendary weapons with decent rolls at your disposal, there's just not a whole lot of reason to equip a rare weapon if you don't have to. I mean, if you're just heading into quick play to mess around and spray some bullets, by all means, use what you enjoy, regardless of the background color on the weapon icon. But I really can't think of a case where a rare weapon doesn't have a legendary counterpart that wouldn't be a better choice if optimization is your goal. So since you made it to this point in the video, how about leaving it a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already? With Beyond Light's imminent launch, the next few weeks are going to be really busy on the channel, and I'll be working hard to cover the content as quickly and efficiently as I can. Also, I do plan on streaming a bit more frequently as I work my way through the expansion, so if you look for Ironworker814 on Twitch, you can drop me a follow and get notified whenever I hop on. And if you'd like to contact me, the best way to do so is simply to comment down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. And with all that being said, I would like to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your day to check out this video. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.